Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to our weekly informative video on all things commercial real estate. I'm Richard Allen Smith Soto. Today we're going to be discussing a very well-known tool in the commercial real estate world, and that is the 1031 exchange. Maybe you've successfully executed 100 of them. Maybe you only know of it in theory, but whatever level you may be at, I'm confident there will be something in this video that maybe you didn't know or that will provide some new insight on this particular tool. Now, what is a 1031 exchange? Of course, that is a very popular tax deferral strategy where when you sell one property in order to save off the capital gains that you would be paying from the investment, you roll it over into another investment of equal or greater value. Now, we're going to go into 3 points regarding the 1031 exchange. So the regulations with the 1031 exchange is that we have 45 days to identify the subject property and 180 days to close on said property. Now, one of the most common pitfalls that I'll see when it comes to successfully doing 1031 exchanges, which actually over 60% of them are not successful, is that one simply waits too long to get on the ball and start looking for a replacement property. 45 days is not a lot of time, nor is 30 days, which is right around the corner from 45. So you don't want to wait until the funds are sitting in the escrow account to get on the move looking. If you're selling one property, right when you decide you want to sell that property, that's really when you want to start to get some eyes and ears to the ground as far as what your replacement options are that are available. So that's a big reason. Now, the motivation behind an exit in a portfolio strategy from a short and a long-term perspective is going to vary and it's going to change. So from a broker standpoint, I'll often hear as an objection to the sale of a property is that, well, I don't know what to do with the money. I'm enjoying the cash flow now and I'm not really motivated to get into another property. So it may or may not be the right time to exit, but a couple of things to consider is something like the simplification of management. A lot of times some of these long-term holds are properties with multiple tenants. They might be properties that require a lot of CapEx and a lot of work to get them stabilized or performing a little bit more optimally in accordance to market conditions. So oftentimes what I'll see is in something like multifamily, that's a very management intensive asset class. A lot of times those investors will just decide at a certain point, you know what, I'm tired of fixing doorknobs or having to drive around chasing tenants down for rent or going through the eviction process. So they might trade into something like an industrial asset that's going to be much more hands-off, and it's going to allow them to simplify their lifestyle. In another scenario, maybe there was an investment that was purchased due to the perception that a long-term hold would result in appreciation. That appreciation has been received, and now we want to get into a more emerging market to ride some of that appreciation. So what we want to be aware of is that when we're trading into other assets, we want to be careful to get into something where we really know what we're doing, or we partner with someone that knows what they're doing. There's a lot of assets that are very operationally intensive, and we could end up getting hurt if we don't know what we're doing. Things like hotels, senior living, anything with a housing component, something like co-working in an office space. We want to make sure we're getting into something that we're comfortable with and we're going to be able to successfully execute on our plan and business strategy. On a last and final note, it's very important to be aware of, both federal, state, and local regulations and how things are changing. The 1031 is something that is regulated at a federal level. And what you may or may not know is that there's been a long time push to actually fully eliminate the 1031 exchange. Now, I'm not going to get deep into the weeds as to the arguments pro or con, or for or against, but it is something that's being discussed in the 2025 budget, is the elimination of the 1031, or at least a reduction to cap it off at $500,000. So this is something to take into consideration. It's nothing that we can control, but we do need to adjust accordingly. So that's all for today. For referrals to great partners, evaluations on assets, or help filling vacancies, please don't hesitate to reach out. Stay healthy, sharp, strong, and safe, and dry if you are in any part of Florida like me.